Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Nigeria rejects private military firms in Africa at AU-EU Summit. Governor Moino commends massive turnout at APC homecoming across 31 local government areas. Plus, Zelensky warns against giving away territory as the latest Ukraine talks ends. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in just a moment. Many thanks for saying peace on the continent will remain elusive unless security initiatives are African-led, legally grounded and free from the involvement of private military and security companies. President Bola Tinubu delivered the position at the first plenary session on peace, security, governance and multilateralism during the 7th AU Summit in Luanda, Angola. It further added that Africa could help drive its insisting that Africa must own and drive its peace architecture if the continent is to overcome insurgency, military coup, and political instability. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, the President said the resurgence of private military actors in African conflicts complicate resolution efforts and undermine state sovereignty. He stressed that peace and security interventions must be co-created with African partners and anchored in African-led frameworks, adding that externally imposed solutions, however well-intentioned, often fail without strong regional ownership. Away from that, First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu has called on government institutions, technology companies, civil society and citizens to take bold and coordinated actions to make Nigeria's digital spaces safe, inclusive and respectful for women and girls. The First Lady made the appeal in a message commemorating the 2025 International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, marked globally today, November 25th. This year's theme, Unite to End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls, focuses attention on the growing threat of online harassment, exploitation, and gender-based hate. Senator Oluremi said digital platforms intended to encourage learning, connection, and productivity have increasingly become spaces where women and girls face bullying, blackmail, stalking, and targeted misogyny. She warned that the rise of online abuse constitutes a serious and often invisible extension of gender-based violence. In a separate development, the federal government has declared its intention to rehabilitate 417 grazing reserves for the use of herders. This comes as the government maintained that ranching remains the sustainable path forward and urges state government to support the practice by allocating land to breeders willing to adopt it. The Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Maiha, who stated this while speaking in Yola during the first National Council meeting on livestock development, said that open grazing has caused unnecessary disruptions in recent years and has led to the loss of lives across the country. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Livestock, Musa Mustafa, who delivered a goodwill message, expressed optimism that livestock will soon overtake oil in revenue earnings, adding that the Senate would support the Ministry of Agriculture with a robust budget. We move now to the Red Chambers, where the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has formally unveiled Nigeria's counter-terrorism strategic plan 2025 to 2030, declaring that the people of the country deserve to live without fear. The strategic plan was developed by the National Counter-Terrorism Center within the Office of the National Security Advisor. In his keynote address, Akpabio said the occasion was not merely the launch of another policy document, but a defining moment in the nation's journey. The Senate President remarked that every generation faces a question that history demands it must answer. To the Green Chambers now, where the House of Representatives has raised concerns over a surge in fraud linked to point-of-sale POS operators nationwide. Speaking at the resumed investigative hearing with stakeholders at the National Assembly complex, the chairman of the House Ad Hoc Committee on Economy, Regulatory and Security Implications of Cryptocurrency Adoption, as well as POS operation in Nigeria, Olufemi Bamisile, lamented what he described as the infiltration of unlicensed crypto-related activities in the sector. According to him, the committee has received multiple reports of UN profile agents, cloned terminals, anonymous transactions, and weak know-your-customer practices, which he said are putting Nigerians at serious risks of financial loss, cybercrimes, and security breaches. He also disclosed that the committee will investigate the storage of sensitive customer data on foreign servers, warning that keeping data out of the country's jurisdictions undermines regulators and security agencies' ability to conduct audit, trace suspicious transactions, and enforce compliance. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has donated 20 million naira to the family of the late Vice Principal of Government Girls Secondary School, Manga, Kebbi State, Hassan Makuku. Recall that Makuku was killed last week when bandits invaded Government Girls Secondary School, Manga, an abducted student. Leading a high-power delegation of the House to Kebbi State to commiserate with the families of the victims, Speaker Basta Judin urged Governor Nasser Idris to immortalize Makuku by naming the school after him. In the meantime, the House of Representatives will convene a special plenary session today, Tuesday, November 25, 2025, dedicated solely to reviewing Nigeria's national security situation and strengthening the legislative response to current and emerging threats. To be presided over by the Speaker, Abbas Tajuddin, the session will consider consolidated internal assessment and receive presentations from the Committee on Defense, National Security and Intelligence Police Affairs, Interior and Emergency and Disaster Preparedness. Regional and zonal caucus leaders will also present structured briefs on the security situation across the 6 geopolitical zones. According to a statement by the House spokesperson, Akin Rotimi, the session will afford members the opportunity to reflect on constituency-level realities and contribute to a constructive national dialogue. In another development, President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, whether or not lecturers proceed with a suspended industrial action. Addressing journalists on the sidelines of the 2025 Hamatan School, organized by Nigerian Labour Congress, Piwuna maintained that ASUU's fight to protect the sector remains unwavering. He criticized the Federal Ministry of Education's repeated claims that most of the union's demands had been met, noting that government officials have quietly shifted their language. Piwuna clarified that the union did not declare any strike for Friday, but made it clear that the outcome of the ongoing talks with the federal government would determine its next steps. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor and leader of the APC in the state, Pastor Umoino, has expressed appreciation to residents for the large turnout during the APC homecoming event held across the 31 local government areas on Saturday, November 22, 2025. Governor Eno said the crowd participation was impressive and demonstrated the people's continued commitment to the progressive direction the state adopted on June 6, 2025. He thanked elected officials, including councillors, local government chairmen, members of the State House of Assembly, members of the House of Representatives, and senators, along with ward and chapter chairmen, political stakeholders, security agencies, Christian leaders, youth, women, leaders, students, political groups, and appointees for their roles in the successful statewide mobilization. The governor noted that the peaceful conduct of the event showed acceptance of the APC's message of politics of conviction rather than politics of attrition, and said that achievements recorded in the last 2 years had strengthened the people's confidence in the administration. Governor Eno reaffirmed his administration's support for President Bola Tinubu, commending the president's efforts in addressing national security and economic challenges, as well as the stabilization of the foreign exchange market. He also acknowledged the role of Senate President Godswill Akpabio in working with the presidency to resolve national issues. We move now to Africa, where Egyptians yesterday voted in the second phase of the parliamentary elections in 13 governorates, including Cairo and Suez. Reports say more than 34 million people were eligible to vote in the second phase, as the first stage of voting took place on 10th and 11th of November in 14 provinces. According to report, a total of 568 seats in the lower chamber are vacant, with over 2,500 candidates running as independents for half the seat. The other half is reserved for political parties, while LCC will name 28 members, bringing the total number to 596. According to the Egyptian presidency, the electoral process is being monitored by various international observers, including the Arab League and African Union. On the foreign scene, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has welcomed important steps made at talks with the U.S. in Geneva on ending the war with Russia, but warned the main problem remained Vladimir Putin's demand for legal recognition of Russia's occupied territory. Recall that U.S. and Ukrainian officials met to discuss a 28-point peace plan drafted by American and Russian officials in October, which caused consternation in Kyiv and among its European allies. Still to come in the news. Everton beat Manchester United 1-0 in Premier League encounter. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment.